Don't wait for us, my mother said 10 minutes before I was supposed to walk down the aisle. Your brother's engagement party has already started, and it would be embarrassing if we left now. I stood inside the little stone chapel with my veil pinned to my hair and my bouquet trembling in both hands. What are you talking about? Elise, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Mom, there are 42 seats reserved for our family. I told everyone you were keeping it small. My fingers tightened around the stems. You told them what? There was a pause. In the background, I heard music people laughing and my brother Cameron shouting for someone to bring more ice. My mother lowered her voice. You always said you didn't need a big production. Cameron and Brianna only get one engagement party. I only get one wedding. You're stronger than he is. She said it as if strength were a bill she had already decided I would pay. Is Dad coming? I asked. Another pause. He thinks it's better if we present a united front. I looked through the cracked chapel door. On the left side of the aisle, 42 chairs had been decorated with small ivory ribbons for the Bishop family. 39 were empty. My Aunt Sylvia sat in the first row with my cousin Lena and Lena's 11-year-old daughter Molly. Sylvia had one hand pressed over her mouth. Lena was crying openly. Molly held the program in her lap as if she were afraid even paper might break. On the right side, Jonah's family filled every seat. My father-in-law was speaking quietly with the minister. Jonah's sisters were passing tissues between them. His mother Margaret stood near the altar staring at the empty chairs with a look so fierce that for one irrational second I wanted to apologize to her. Not because I had done anything wrong, because that was what my family had trained me to do whenever their behavior became visible. Your father will call you tomorrow, my mother said. Just enjoy your day. Don't turn this into a family crisis. My breath caught. You created the crisis. Elise. You called 42 people and told them not to come. I explained that you wanted privacy. I sent invitations. People get confused. No, people were lied to. Her voice sharpened. I will not be spoken to like a criminal because I tried to keep peace between my children. Peace? I looked at the empty seats again. You erased me. Stop being dramatic. Cameron has had a difficult year. Cameron had quit 2 jobs defaulted on a loan I had helped him refinance and announced his engagement 3 months after meeting Brianna. In my mother's language, consequences were always difficulties when they belonged to him. When did you decide not to come? I asked. We never said we were definitely attending. You RSVP'd yes. That was before Cameron chose the date. He chose my wedding date 2 weeks after my invitations went out. He didn't choose it to hurt you. Then why didn't you ask him to move it? Because he needed this. The answer was so immediate, so practiced that something inside me became very still. I had spent my entire life waiting for my family to need me as a person instead of as a solution. Standing in my wedding dress with 39 empty chairs in front of me, I finally understood that they did need me. They needed me to absorb the damage without making a sound. I reached up and removed the pearl comb my mother had given me that morning. She had sent it through a courier with a note that read, "Something old, something loved." I placed it on the small table beside the chapel door. Mom, listen carefully. You don't get to call me tomorrow and explain this into something smaller. You don't get to say there was confusion. You don't get to say I wanted privacy. You made a choice. So are you, she snapped. You are choosing resentment on your wedding day. No, I'm choosing to remember accurately. I ended the call. For several seconds I could not move. Then Margaret stepped into the room. She did not tell me to calm down. She did not say the seats did not matter. She did not call me strong. She simply asked, "Would you like me to sit here while it hurts?" That question broke me. I folded at the waist, still holding the bouquet, and sobbed into the lace at her shoulder. She wrapped both arms around me and let me cry until my makeup stained her dress. "I'm sorry," I gasped. For what? For this. For the empty side. For everyone seeing. Margaret pulled back and held my face in both hands. Sweetheart, shame belongs to the people who made those chairs empty, not to the bride standing in front of them. I had never heard an adult separate pain from blame so clearly. The minister knocked softly. We can delay. I looked toward the aisle. Jonah was waiting at the altar. His face was pale, but his eyes never left mine. He had offered to cancel the ceremony the moment he learned my parents were not coming. He had said we could leave through the side door, drive somewhere quiet, and get married another day. But I had spent 14 months building this day with him. I had chosen every flower, folded every invitation, saved for every payment, and imagined my father taking my arm beneath the old stained glass windows. My family had already taken their seats away. I would not let them take the marriage, too. I'm ready, I said. Margaret offered me her arm. I almost accepted. Then I looked at Aunt Sylvia. She had risen from her chair. Her hands shook as she smoothed her blue dress. Your father should be doing this, she whispered. Yes, I said, he should. The truth mattered. I would not turn his absence into a story about my independence. I walked down the aisle alone because my father had chosen not to come. Each step hurt. I heard chairs creak. Someone sniffed. The empty left side seemed to stretch for miles. I felt every ribbon, every place card, every meal I had paid for every relative whose face should have been turned toward me. Halfway down the aisle, Molly stepped out of her row and handed me a folded tissue. You look beautiful, she whispered. I took it and kissed her forehead. By the time I reached Jonah, I was crying again. He took my hands. I'm here, he said. It was not a grand promise. It was better. It was true. We married in front of 3 people from my family and 68 from his. During the reception, Margaret disappeared for 20 minutes. When she returned, she was followed by her neighbor, 2 women from her book club, the couple who owned the bakery near her house, Jonah's former high school teacher, and 6 people I had never met. They filled empty chairs without pretending they belonged to someone else. One of them, an elderly man named Mr. Alvarez, raised his glass during dinner. I do not know the bride well, he said, but I know Margaret. If she loves you, you must be worth showing up for. The room applauded. I smiled, but beneath the table, Jonah held my hand while my nails dug into his palm. That night, after the last guest left, I stood alone in the hotel bathroom and peeled 42 tiny seating labels from the folded chart the coordinator had given me. I told myself I was cleaning. Really, I was counting 39 absences, 39 decisions I did not understand yet. Jonah found me sitting on the tile floor in my wedding dress. He sat down beside me without asking me to get up. I keep thinking maybe I did something I said. You sent invitations to your wedding. Maybe I should have called everyone personally. You did call some of them. Maybe I sounded like I wanted something small. Elise. Maybe Cameron thought. Elise. He turned my face toward him. Your family did not miss the wedding because you failed to organize them correctly. The sentence landed harder than comfort should have, because organizing them had been my role since I was 14. When I was 14, my mother forgot to renew the car insurance. I found the notice, called the agent, and made a calendar reminder. At 15, I filled out Cameron's summer job applications because he said forms made him anxious. At 16, I learned how to compare credit card interest rates because my father had transferred balances so many times he no longer knew what he owed. At 17, I planned my mother's 50th birthday dinner while studying for final exams. At 19, I drove 3 hours home from college to help Cameron appeal an academic suspension he had earned by skipping classes. At 22, I created a payment plan for his first business failure. At 26, I negotiated with a landlord after he broke a lease. At 29, I helped my parents organize tax records they had ignored for 2 years. Every time I solved a problem, my mother kissed my cheek and said, "What would we do without you?" I mistook that sentence for love. 14 months before the wedding, Jonah and I had reserved the chapel and the reception hall with money we had saved for 3 years. My mother knew the date before the deposit cleared. She circled it in red on her kitchen calendar and said, "Finally, something in this family I don't have to organize." I laughed then. I did not understand that she meant I would organize it alone. 2 weeks after the invitations went out, my parents invited us to Sunday dinner. Cameron arrived 40 minutes late with Brianna carrying a bottle of champagne. "We have news," he announced. Brianna showed us her ring. I hugged her. I meant it. Whatever my history with Cameron, she looked happy, and I wanted happiness to be real for someone. Then my mother clapped her hands and said, "We're doing the engagement party June 15th. I thought I had misheard. "That's our wedding day," Jonah said. Cameron opened the champagne. The venue only had that weekend. "What venue?" I asked. "The country club." "You booked it already." Mom began arranging glasses. They needed a decision quickly. "You all knew our date." My father stared at his plate. Cameron shrugged. "Your ceremony is at 4. Ours starts at 2. People can choose what works." "They should not have to choose." "Then move your reception." Jonah's chair scraped the floor as he sat forward. "We have contracts, guests traveling, and deposits paid." My mother gave him a patient smile. "This is a family discussion." "He is my family," I said. The smile disappeared. Cameron poured himself champagne. "You've always hated sharing attention." I laughed because the accusation was so absurd I did not know what else to do. "I planned my wedding before you met Brianna." "Exactly. Everything has to follow your schedule." Brianna touched his arm. "We can ask about another date." My mother answered for him. "No. Cameron has waited long enough for something good." I looked at my father. "Dad." He rubbed his forehead. "Maybe everyone could be flexible." "Who is everyone?" Jonah asked. "Because so far only Elise is being asked to move." My father's jaw tightened. "I don't appreciate your tone." "I don't appreciate watching your daughter's wedding become negotiable because your son wants a particular room at a country club." My mother stood. "That is enough." Then she turned to me. "You can decide whether one date is worth damaging your relationship with your brother." I remember staring at her and thinking she had reversed the direction of the threat so smoothly that no one else seemed to notice. Cameron had placed an event on top of mine. My mother had promised to support it. My father had refused to object. And somehow I was the person endangering the family. "We are keeping our wedding date," I said. Mom folded her arms. "Then accept that some people may not be able to attend." "I can accept people making their own choice. I will not accept you campaigning for one." Her expression became wounded. "It breaks my heart that you think so little of me." That was her most effective trick. She could take the boundary you placed around her behavior and wear it as a bruise. On the drive home, I shook so badly Jonah had to pull over. "I should call and apologize," I said. "For what?" "For making dinner tense." He looked at me across the dark car. "Elise, your brother scheduled a party on our wedding day and your mother threatened the guest list. You are apologizing because the room became uncomfortable when you noticed." I pressed my forehead to the window. "What if no one comes?" He reached across the console and took my hand. "Then I will still be there." I believed him. I just did not understand how much I would need that promise. The morning after our wedding, I woke to 17 missed calls. Not from my parents. From relatives. My mother's cousin Denise left a voice message saying, "I am so sorry. Vivian told us it was a private courthouse ceremony and that you didn't want the extended family involved." My uncle Howard wrote, "Your mother said Jonah's family had limited the guest list." My second cousin Rachel said she had been told the date on the invitation was for a reception we had later canceled. My grandmother's sister believed I had asked everyone to attend Cameron's party instead, because I did not like being the center of attention. The stories were different enough to confuse people and similar enough to protect my mother. Each version made me responsible for my own abandonment. That afternoon, Lena sent me a short video from Cameron's party. She had received it from another cousin who did not know she had attended my wedding. My father stood behind a grill wearing the apron I had bought him for Father's Day. My mother raised a glass beneath a banner that read, "Family First." Cameron had one arm around Brianna while relatives cheered. My mother's toast was audible over the music. Today is proof that when a family supports the child who needs them, everything falls into place. I watched the video once. Then again. On the third viewing, I noticed the timestamp. 4:07 p.m. At 4:07 I had been standing behind the chapel doors asking whether my father was coming. He had been turning hamburgers. My mother had been giving a speech about support. I made it to the hotel sink before I vomited. Jonah held my hair back. When I finished, I sat against the bathroom cabinet and said, "I want my mother." The words embarrassed me. He crouched beside me. "Of course you do. She is the person who did this, and I still want her to make it hurt less." That does not make you weak. It makes no sense. It makes the kind of sense that takes years to unlearn. Later, Margaret brought soup to our apartment. She did not ask whether I had forgiven anyone. She did not tell me anger was unhealthy. She washed 2 dishes, sat across from me, and said I had a mother who only liked me when I was useful. The hardest part was not leaving. It was learning that rest did not require permission. I looked at the spreadsheet open on my laptop. I don't know who I am if I stop taking care of them. Margaret nodded. Then perhaps you are about to meet her. I listened to every message twice. Then I opened my laptop. I worked as an operations auditor for a healthcare network. My job was to find the point where a process failed, document how the failure spread, and prevent people from hiding negligence inside vague language. So I built a spreadsheet. Column A, name. Column B, invitation mailed. Column C, RSVP received. Column D, later cancellation. Column E, reason given. Column F, who supplied that reason. Column G, evidence. Jonah watched from the hotel bed. "You don't have to do this today." "I know." "Is it helping?" "No." I typed another name. "But it's making the shape of the lie visible." For the next 3 weeks, relatives called with apologies, questions, and excuses. Aunt Sylvia gave me screenshots of messages my mother had sent. "Elise wants the day focused on Jonah's side. Please respect her wishes. There may be tension if both families attend. Cameron's engagement is fragile right now. Elise understands." That final sentence stayed with me. Elise understands. It was the family phrase that meant Elise has not been consulted, but we have already assigned her the sacrifice. My parents did not contact me for 11 days. On the 12th day, my father called while I was unpacking wedding gifts. "Your mother is devastated," he said. I set down a serving bowl. "Is she devastated that she lied, or devastated that people found out?" He sighed. "This is not the tone we need." "What tone do we need, Dad?" "A productive one." "Productive for whom?" "Your mother was trying to support Cameron. You know, he has always struggled with feeling overshadowed by you. He scheduled his engagement party on my wedding day. He did not think the church ceremony was that important to you." "Why would he think that?" "Because your mother said you were flexible." I closed my eyes. "Did you want to come to my wedding?" The silence lasted too long. "Of course I did." "Then why didn't you?" "Your mother felt that if I attended, it would look like I was choosing sides." "You did choose a side." "No, I tried to keep the family together." "You kept the family together somewhere I wasn't." "Elise, don't punish me for being caught in the middle." "You were not in the middle. You were at Cameron's barbecue while I walked down the aisle alone." His voice cracked. "I didn't know you would walk alone." "Who did you think would walk with me?" He had no answer. That was the first conversation I ended before he was finished speaking. My mother responded by sending a 6-page email titled "My Truth." She wrote that my wedding had become emotionally unsafe for Cameron. She said Jonah's family had treated her coldly during planning. She claimed I had always enjoyed being self-sufficient, and that walking alone was a powerful reflection of the woman you have chosen to become. I read that line until the words blurred. Then I forwarded the email to the folder labeled Evidence and did not reply. The pain did not make me decisive every day. 2 months after the wedding, I went to my parents' house to collect the file box containing my birth certificate, college records, and the original paperwork for an investment account my grandmother had left me. My mother was waiting at the kitchen table. She had made tea in the blue pot she used when she wanted a conversation to feel ceremonial. "You could have asked your father to bring the box," she said. "I wanted to make sure everything was there. So now you think we steal from you?" "I think accuracy matters." She pushed a cup toward me. "You sound like a lawyer." "I sound like someone who was lied about." Her eyes filled immediately. "I barely sleep." I said nothing. I keep seeing you walk down that aisle alone. So do I. I thought you wanted to. No, you did not. She blinked. You told relatives I wanted privacy before you knew how I would walk down the aisle. You told Dad not to come. You knew exactly what the empty chairs meant. I was trying to protect your brother. From what? From feeling second best. He is 3 years older than me. He has always been more sensitive. And I have always been more useful. That is not fair. No, it wasn't. She reached across the table, but I moved my hand. Her face hardened. Margaret has filled your head with this language. What language? Boundaries, emotional labor, chosen family. She wants to replace us. No one can replace a mother who leaves her daughter's wedding for a barbecue. That position is uniquely yours. The sentence shocked both of us. For once, I did not take it back. I picked up the file box and left while she cried at the kitchen table. I cried in the car too. The difference was that I no longer mistook both sets of tears as equal evidence of harm. Some mornings I woke furious. Some nights I missed my mother so badly that I typed messages and deleted them. I missed calling her while shopping. I missed hearing my father whistle badly in the kitchen. I missed the version of Cameron who used to sneak into my room during thunderstorms and sleep on the floor because he was afraid. Betrayal did not erase love. It contaminated it. Every good memory now came with a question attached. Was I loved or was I useful? 6 weeks after the wedding, my mother texted me a photograph of a medical bill and wrote, "The insurance company is making this impossible. Please call when you have a minute." My hand moved automatically toward the phone number. Then I stopped. I wrote, "You will need to contact the number on the statement." She replied within seconds. "After everything we have done for you." I stared at the message. The old version of me would have listed the things they had done. She would have balanced the account in her head until guilt won. Instead, I wrote, "I am not available to manage this." My mother did not speak to me for a month. Cameron called 3 days later. "Mom says you're refusing to help with Dad's insurance." I am. "What is wrong with you?" "I got married, Cameron." So while you were opening engagement gifts, Mom was telling our relatives I did not want them at my wedding. "That is between you and her." "No, the party on the same day was yours." "I didn't force anyone to come." "You accepted the benefit." He laughed once sharply. "You always do this. You act like being competent makes you morally superior." "I do not think I'm superior to you." "Good. I think I'm finished raising you." The silence on the line was so complete I could hear him breathing. Then he said, "You're insane," and hung up. I cried afterward, not because I regretted saying it, because it was true. For 17 years, I had been the unpaid adult assigned to make Cameron's life possible. My mother called it loyalty. My father called it keeping peace. Cameron called it what family does. No one called it labor because then they might have had to ask whether I consented. By the 4th month of my marriage, the spreadsheet had 42 completed rows. 31 relatives had received direct misinformation from my mother. 7 had received it through another relative repeating her version. 2 had assumed my parents' absence meant they should stay away. 1 had chosen Cameron's party knowing exactly what was happening. Aunt Sylvia had come despite my mother calling her twice. Lena had come because Sylvia told her even if every word Vivian says is true, a bride should not look up and see no one. I printed the spreadsheet once, then locked it in my desk. I did not plan revenge. I planned distance. Jonah and I changed our emergency contacts. I removed my parents from our shared streaming accounts, our warehouse membership, and the family phone plan I had been managing. I transferred the utility bills I had quietly paid for them back to their names. I stopped reminding my father about appointments. I stopped checking Cameron's credit report. I stopped ordering my mother's prescriptions. 7 months after the wedding, Aunt Sylvia invited the extended family to her 70th birthday dinner. I almost declined. Then she called me. "I want you there," she said. "Not because you owe anyone a confrontation. I want you there because they do not get to exile you from rooms you helped hold together. Mom will make a scene. Then she will make it in my house where I am allowed to tell her to leave." Jonah asked whether I wanted him beside me. Yes, I said, but I need to speak for myself. The morning of the dinner, I opened the locked desk drawer. I printed the spreadsheet in color. I attached copies of messages, RSVP cards, and call logs. I included my mother's 6-page email and the photograph my aunt had taken of 39 empty chairs before the ceremony. Then I placed everything in a plain gray binder. At Sylvia's house, the dining room smelled like rosemary chicken and birthday cake. For the first hour, everyone behaved as if the family had not split open. My mother kissed the air beside my cheek. You look tired, she said. I'm well. Marriage is an adjustment, so is accountability. Her smile froze. My father stood near the window holding a glass of water. He looked thinner. Cameron arrived late with Brianna and spent 20 minutes explaining a business idea no one had asked about. Brianna found me alone near the kitchen. I'm glad you came, she said. Are you? Her face tightened. I did not know what your mother was telling people until after the wedding. But you knew your engagement party was the same day. Cameron said you approved it. I looked toward him. He was laughing with my father. Did you ever hear me approve it? No. Then you knew only what was useful to know. She looked down. Before she could answer, my mother tapped a spoon against her glass. I think we should say something about family, she announced. We have had a difficult year, but families survive misunderstandings when people are willing to let go of grudges. Every conversation stopped. Aunt Sylvia said, Vivian, this is my birthday. I know. That is why it is the perfect time to heal. My mother turned toward me. Elise, I hope you can finally admit that no one intended to hurt you. There it was. The rewrite, not an apology. A request that I sign my name beneath her version of events. I walked to the entry table and picked up the gray binder. I brought something, I said. My mother's eyes narrowed. What is that? A record. I placed copies of the spreadsheet along the dining table. People leaned forward. My Uncle Howard adjusted his glasses. Denise picked up the first page. Rachel covered her mouth. I explained each column. 42 invitations were mailed. 42 affirmative responses were received. 39 people later stayed away. This column shows the reason each person gave me. This column identifies who supplied the information. This column links to the message call log or witness statement supporting it. My mother laughed too loudly. You made a spreadsheet about your own family. I made a record because you kept changing the story. This is obsessive. No. Obsessive would be calling 31 relatives individually to stop them from attending your daughter's wedding. A murmur moved through the room. My mother's face reddened. I did not stop anyone. I clarified your wishes. I opened the binder. Page 12. Message to Denise. Elise wants only Jonah's family involved. Page 14. Message to Howard. The formal wedding was canceled. They are doing something private. Page 19. Message to Rachel. Elise believes the bishop of family will create tension, so please respect her boundary. Rachel looked at my mother. You told me she would be angry if I came. I was trying to prevent conflict. Between whom? Aunt Sylvia asked. My mother ignored her. She pointed at me. You have held on to this for 7 months to humiliate me. I held on to it because every time someone asked what happened, you told a different lie. You are destroying this family over one day. One day revealed the family. Cameron shoved back his chair. This is ridiculous. My engagement had nothing to do with your wedding. I turned to his row. Page 27. Your message to Mom sent 3 days after my invitations. If Elise keeps June 15th, do the party anyway. Everyone will come to us because she won't make a scene. Brianna's head snapped toward him. You wrote that. Cameron looked at my mother. Why did you give her my messages? I didn't, she said. Dad's tablet synced to the family account, I said. The account I was asked to repair after you forgot the password. For the first time, my brother looked afraid of my competence instead of entitled to it. Brianna stood. You told me Elise had agreed. She would have eventually. That is not agreement. Bree, sit down. No. My mother reached for the papers. This proves nothing except that Elise has become vindictive. My father spoke from near the window. Vivian. She did not look at him. You have always been jealous of Cameron, she told me. Even as a child, you resented that he needed more attention. Stop! The word came quietly. My father had said it. The room went still. My mother turned toward him. Excuse me. He set down his glass. I said stop. In 31 years of marriage, I had never heard my father interrupt her. She stared at him as if he had changed languages. You knew, he continued. His voice shook. You told me the relatives had chosen Cameron's party. You said Elise wanted a small ceremony. You told me walking alone would make her feel independent. My mother's mouth opened. He looked at the photograph of the empty chairs. I should have called my daughter. Yes, I said. He flinched, but I did not soften the truth. I should have gone, he whispered. Yes, I am sorry. The apology did not repair the aisle, but it did not demand that I pretend the aisle had never been empty. My mother gathered her purse. If everyone is determined to attack me, I will leave. For decades, that sentence had been a command. My father would follow. Cameron would comfort her. I would apologize and fix the room. This time no one moved. She looked at my father. Paul. He sat down. No, Vivian. Her face changed. Then she left alone. Cameron followed 5 minutes later, but Brianna did not go with him. She remained beside the table, reading the pages in silence. 3 weeks later, she ended their engagement. After my mother left Sylvia's house, Brianna asked if she could speak with me outside. We stood beneath the porch light while rain began to touch the pavement. Did Cameron know those seats would be empty? She asked. He wrote that everyone would choose him because I would not make a scene. She wrapped both arms around herself. He told me you had always treated him like a failure. I paid the deposit on his first apartment. He said your parents favored you because you were successful. My parents missed my wedding to attend his engagement party. She closed her eyes. I know how stupid that sounds now. It does not sound stupid. It sounds like a story he needed you to believe. She looked through the window at Cameron pacing beside my mother's empty chair. Last week he asked me to add his name to my savings account. He said, married people should not keep score. I felt the old reflex rise to advise, organize, rescue. I forced myself to stay still. What do you want to do? I asked. She gave a broken laugh. I don't know. That is allowed. It was the first time I helped someone without taking over the answer. When Brianna ended the engagement, she sent me one message. Thank you for showing the record. I made my own decision. I saved the message not as proof that I had won, but as proof that truth could give someone room to choose. My mother blamed me. Cameron sent a message saying I had ruined his future because I could not let him have one happy day. I replied once. Your future was damaged by the truth of what you chose. Do not contact me about money, paperwork, appointments, or emergencies you created. Then I blocked him. The aftermath was not triumphant. I shook for 2 days after Sylvia's birthday. I replayed every sentence. I worried that I had been cruel. I imagined my mother alone in her kitchen and felt guilt so physical it tightened my throat. Jonah found me one night sitting at our dining table with the binder closed in front of me. Maybe I should have spoken to her privately, I said. You did. She denied it. Maybe I should have let the family move on. They were not moving on. They were moving the blame onto you. I don't want to become hard. He took my hand. A boundary is not hardness. It is the place where your life stops being public property. That became the work of the next year. Not punishment. Reconstruction. My father asked if we could meet for coffee. I agreed to 45 minutes in a public place. He arrived early with a notebook. I wrote down the things I usually call you for, he said. The list included rideshare apps, prescription refills, online banking, dental appointments, tax folders, and changing the filter in the furnace. I need to learn them, he said. You do. He nodded. He did not ask me to teach him that day. That mattered. Over the next 6 months, he learned slowly. He missed a bus, paid one bill twice, and arrived at the wrong dental office. He did not call me to make those mistakes disappear. When he asked for help, he asked a specific question and accepted no as an answer. Our relationship did not return to what it had been. It became something smaller and more honest. My mother sent letters accusing me of abandoning her. She wrote that a daughter should not keep score. She wrote that family love required grace. I returned no explanations. Grace without accountability had been the room where she hid every weapon. Cameron tried to reach me through relatives. He lost the apartment Brianna had helped him qualify for. He asked Dad for money. Dad said no for the first time in his life. Aunt Sylvia told me Cameron had begun working regular hours at a shipping warehouse. I was glad he was working. I did not rescue him from it. On our first wedding anniversary, Jonah and I returned to the chapel. The ribbons were gone. Another couple had left white petals near the entrance. Sunlight moved across the old stone floor. I stood at the beginning of the aisle. For months people had told me I looked strong walking alone. They meant it kindly. But strength was not why I had been alone. I had been alone because my father failed to show up. My mother wanted me erased, and my brother believed I would absorb the insult without consequence. Calling that strength too quickly would have turned their failure into my achievement. Jonah waited at the altar again. This time Margaret stood beside me. She did not offer her arm. She knew I did not need the scene rewritten. She only said, "I'm still here." We walked down the aisle together, not to replace anyone but to honor what had actually grown in the empty space. That evening we had dinner at our house. Aunt Sylvia came, Lena and Molly came. Margaret brought too much food. Mr. Alvarez from the wedding brought a bottle of wine. My father arrived with a cake he had ordered himself using an app he had learned without me. There were no assigned family sides. There was one table. Before dessert, Molly asked why I kept the old seating chart framed in my office. I looked at the tiny names and the empty rows. "Because it reminds me that an empty chair tells the truth," I said. "But it also makes room for someone else to sit down." My mother once taught me that family was the people you served without limits. My wedding taught me something different. Family is layered. Some people are connected to you by blood, some by history, some by law. And some choose to enter a room after hearing that you have been abandoned, pull out a chair and stay, even when you have nothing useful to offer them. I no longer manage my mother's life. I no longer finance my brother's mistakes. I no longer call my father's passivity neutrality. I do not answer accusations that boundaries are betrayal. The betrayal happened when the people who raised me decided my wedding was the easiest event to sacrifice because they trusted me to survive it quietly. They were right about one thing. I survived. But I did not survive by becoming easier to abandon. I survived by refusing to keep the seats reserved forever.